Hello friends, here I am again. Last time we were discussing genesis of self-image. Let me make it very clear what I started with. I started with anatomy of success, and I told you that success is always a function of the efforts that you are likely to put in. Efforts are dependent upon what kind of goal you have set for yourself. The higher the goal, the more the efforts and the more the success. But unfortunately, goal setting is extremely individualistic, So you cannot set any kind of goal. Why? Because you have got certain self-image. You have certain fixed ideas about what I am capable of doing and what I am not capable of doing. And those ideas will form your self-image. Your self-image is actually, as I said last time, and it's a prison that you have created out of your own experiences. And I told you last time the mechanism by which our mind operates. I told you that a man or any animal is born with a hardware and software. Hardware is the physical being of that particular animal or even human beings. And software is the operating system with which he is born. Now, what is the operating system of every animal on this earth? He is interested, the operating system is designed to survive. So it is called survival. Survival has got 3 steps. Number 1, gather as much information possible from the environment by using your senses about the environment and draw a conclusion about the environment, whether it is suitable for survival or detrimental for survival. And use that information for an experience which is similar to the one we have already gone through. So this is the mechanism by which every animal survives, even human being survives, everybody survives. But as I said last time, survival is not the aim, or not only the aim of human beings. If that was the only aim of human beings, then you would not have seen this progressed civilization. Animals are surviving. Tigers are hunting the same way thousands and billions of years ago, the way they were hunting. They did not improve and they are surviving, So survival is not the only intention of human beings. Human beings want to go beyond survival, and whenever you take a step which is not taken by the survival instinct, then you are taking a risk because you are doing something which you have never done before. That is called risk. And the risk that mankind takes has resulted into the fantastic progress that we have achieved today. I gave you an example that if you do not know swimming, and if you stand in front of a pool and if you look at the water, your survival instinct tells you, don't. You are going to get killed yourself. People have died. So there are 2 alternatives in front of you. Either go back and continue your survival, or take a risk, do something which you have never done before, take a plunge into the water, and a new world of swimming opens up for you. This is how the civilization has progressed, by thousands and millions of people who have taken risks. They have gone beyond survival, and that is the hallmark of human civilization. Why I am telling you all this is because the kind of experiences that I have already told you that a 17-year-old child finds himself imprisoned in the self-created prison, and that is called self-limiting diagram. And that self-limiting diagram is created out of the walls that you have created by interpreting the events which had happened in your past life. Now, I told you last time that interpretations are of 2 types. Freezing, stopping you wherever you are, and freeing you. Freeing you means what? It gives you a lot of freedom. You feel like flying, you feel that life is worth living. You feel that there is nobody to stop me. I can do whatever I want. That is called freeing. And this interpretation, all the interpretations, as I said, there are facts and there are interpretations. Facts are reality. Facts happen in reality. They happen somewhere and at some time. I told you, it has got 4 coordinates, X, Y, Z. It happens somewhere, and time, it happens at some time. Right? But interpretations do not happen into the fact. Interpretations are not a part of the fact. Interpretations are in our mind. They are created. They are not real. They are virtual. In other words, all interpretations are lies. it is up to you. There are some better lies and there are some bad lies, So it is up to you to accept which lie you are ready to accept. Now, unfortunately, if you go through the past events in your life, for example, I tell you that many times when the student go through a certain rigorous process of studying and all that, and at the end of it, if they don't get marks in an examination, nowadays the examinations have assumed the importance of larger than life. If the examination says you are not getting good marks in mathematics, then the conclusion or the interpretation is that I am not good at mathematics. Now, when you say I am not good at mathematics, it means you were not good at mathematics, you are not good at mathematics, fine. But the worst part is you will never be good in mathematics. That means you are creating a barrier, a complete barrier as far as the subject of mathematics is concerned between you and that subject, which will last for the whole life. And on what basis you decided? Just because in one particular examination you got less marks. Now tell me one thing, can one examination tell you whether you are good in mathematics or not? It's like, there's a journey. Somebody is traveling from Bombay to Pune and the entire journey is videographed. And there is a timer also. Nowadays, we will find that timers are there always. So suppose you want to find out what happens at 11:40 and you press that button. Are you moving in that instance? No. You'll get a still photograph. And suppose somebody shows you just a still photograph and asks you where this guy is going. Do you know? You will say, I am helpless. How can I know? This is a still photograph. So examination is a still photograph of your abilities. Still photograph cannot tell you where you are going, where you are capable of going, what you have done and what you have not done. So it's just a small instance at that particular moment, at that particular time, when these examination questions were thrown at you, you did not know the answers of this question. But the interpretation that you have drawn has a far-reaching effects on your future. Because if the examinations are in a position to decide whether you are good at mathematics or not good at mathematics, then you will find all the research in mathematics is useless, because most of them were almost failure in their sophomore years. But still, they believed and they continued. So therefore, any kind of examination, any kind of a teacher, any kind of a human being who's telling you something about your ability cannot be in the position of predicting your abilities. Because abilities, human being is always interested in improving his abilities. If you try to do mathematics again and again and for years together, you will automatically become good in mathematics. Okay? Suppose you do not know how to play violin, but suppose you are compulsorily told that you will have to play violin for 15 hours a day, come what may, you will become a violinist. Why? Because it is a matter of earning a skill, arriving at a skill, and it's a matter of practice. So whatever you do again and again, and it always bears fruit and you become an expert in it. I'm telling you all this from an example. There was a musician who was a great arranger of one of the greatest music duo in Bollywood music. He said that I was so bad in music. I was like, that Kishore Kumar and Sunil Dutt in Padosan. When the Kishore Kumar tells Padosan to the Sunil Dutt, "Arey baba, niche se gao," to niche बैठ के गाता था. So he thought that niche se गाना matlab niche se बैठ के गाना. So that kind of understanding I had. That is what he said about music. But my father was insisting that I must play violin, because he was owning a shop where he was selling musical gadgets. And I was not allowed to go to even school if I don't play my violin for 3 years. What happened? Slowly, I got interested. I got interested in violin and I became a violinist par excellence. Now, no music director can do without me. So, although I was not interested because of my practice, but at that time, if somebody had asked me a question or some lesson or some Trinity examination has come and asked me some question about violin, I would have failed to answer them. And suppose I had drawn a conclusion, that means I'm not a good violinist. I would not have got this kind of future in front of me. So remember one thing, do not allow any individual, including your parents, including your teachers, including your exams, including the aptitude tests, to decide who you are. You must decide who you are. Your goals should be your own. Your goals should spring from your dreams. What you want to achieve. Visualize yourself that if I do this, I will feel great. That is your destiny. That is your dream. And that is your goal. Because I told you, self-limiting diagram is a virtual creation of interpretations that you have done at that time. So just get rid of those interpretations. Whatever feelings of not being able to do you have about yourself, just get rid of them. Go back to those events where you arrived at those conclusions and then find out another interpretation which is not freezing but freeing. And suddenly you will find the walls around you are collapsing one by one and you are free. And you are free as a bird, free to fly anywhere in the world. Why world? Anywhere in the universe. And remember one thing, that achieving a goal is one thing, because deciding a goal is one thing. You may decide a very lofty kind of a goal, but in order to implement it and in order to bring it into practice, you need a certain kind of a mechanism, certain kind of a discipline, certain kind of a scientific methodology by which this goal can be brought into reality. I always bring my analogy from mathematics. In this world, there are two kinds of people, scalars and vectors. You know, scalars in mathematics is a concept where it has got a quantity. For example, temperature, it has got a quantity, but temperature does not flow in any particular direction, right? So whereas there is another concept called vector. Vector is a quantity which has got a magnitude as well as direction. So it has a direction as well as magnitude. Scalar has only magnitude. I find that there are this kind of people on this earth. There are two types of people on this earth, vectors and scalars. People who know what they are doing, people who know where they want to go, and all their actions are directed in that particular direction. Whereas there are many other people, 99.9% people, who are just doing something aimlessly without evaluating where they want to go and why whatever they did is it taking them somewhere. For example, suppose I call P.T. Usha. She's a great athlete. You know, she has got medals for India. Very good runner. So I ask her, come here and start running in circles. So she starts running. Then I ask her, Arey, you're a great athlete, run fast. So she has to start running faster and faster and faster. Will she go anywhere? No. Magnitude is there, very high magnitude, where there are a lot of activities. I mean, she has left all the athletes behind in that activity. But that magnitude is of no use because she is not going anywhere. Why? Because she does not have a direction. So, magnitude alone is not going to suffice. There has to be a direction. And how do you create a direction? Direction is created by creating a goal for yourself. And once you create a goal, you are defining what needs to happen and by when it needs to happen. So there are two things. What needs to happen and by when this needs to happen. Now, once you specify these two things, you have got a goal, you have got a direction, and all your activities should be centered and focused on achieving those goals. When you go to sleep in the night, you have to ask yourself a question, that was my goal, what did I do today in order to achieve or go nearer to that particular goal? For example, if you set up a goal of going into mountaineering and achieving the Mount Everest, climbing the Mount Everest. And suppose you set a deadline of say 9 months. Isn't it true that every day you will be working towards the goal and you will be inching towards the goal? You will take certain steps in order to achieve that particular goal. All your activities will be concentrated only on how to climb Mount Everest. Because the goal is so high, so challenging, so demanding that you will have to bring some kind of a discipline in yourself, and you will have to pull yourself into that particular direction, and then only that kind of goal is possible. Life is like that. If you do not have any goal, you will spend your entire day aimlessly doing whatever comes in front of you. There's a mirror, you are brushing your teeth, then you go to a drawing room, you see a TV, and then there is a match going on, so you keep watching it. Then there is suddenly somebody, your mummy shouts, "Arey Baba, tu kya kar raha hai? Khana nahi kha raha hai." So I eat and all that. So every day I am doing a lot of things. Lot of things. I have done many things. I watch movie, I go to birthday party, I go to this, I go to that, I go to do thousands of things we do. It's just a magnitude. All those acts that you did today, were they necessary? Did they take you somewhere? Are you clear about your goal? And all the activities that you do, did you move even an inch towards it? That kind of introspection, you should have when you go to sleep every day. There is a very fantastic example of how the goal-related activities are. I was giving one time management lectures to the students of St. Xavier's College in Bombay once. One of the students who were attending that lecture was a son of one of the faculty members whom I knew. So, after I finished my time management lecture, this boy went home and started telling mother, "Mother, from today I will be a disciplined person. I will be managing my time." You know, she was very happy and she called me, "अरे बहुत सालों से मैं मेरे लड़के को बोल रहा हूँ कि कुछ कर यार, कुछ अच्छा कर, तू डिसिप्लिन में रह, वो कुछ नहीं करता है. In one particular lecture, how did you transform him?" So I started laughing. I told her that, "Madam, अभी वो मेरे लेक्चर से बाहर गया है, थोड़ा सा एंथुजियास्टिक है, ज़्यादा उत्साही हो गया है, लेकिन ये टिकने वाला नहीं है. ये कुछ दिन तक रहेगा, बाद में देखो." अरे सर क्या बोलते हैं, लेकिन this is the fact of life. But that boy was very enthusiastic because he was thrilled by my lecture, and he decided, yes, tomorrow onwards, I will do time management. Time management is basically goal setting and doing the activities according to your goal. That is the management of time. Actually, time management is a misnomer. Nobody can manage time. Time cannot be managed. Time is a unidirectional arrow which goes in one particular direction and never returns back again. Can you manage time? There are 24 hours in a day. Can you increase them or decrease them? No. Time management is a misnomer. What can you manage? You can only manage yourself with reference to time. So managing yourself with reference to time is called time management, because time itself cannot be managed. And managing yourself means what? Managing your activities means what? Correlating your activities so that you are going towards your goal. That is called time management. So he says, I'm going to do a time management. So tomorrow, I will wake up at 4 o'clock. Now, while writing, he feels very enthusiastic, 4 o'clock. 7 o'clock, I'll attend lectures, then I'll go to library and I'll read and I'll do the practical on my own, and I'll come back home, relax for some time, then I'll study for 10 hours and etc., etc., etc. On the paper, that entire timetable was looking so great that tomorrow onwards, you will going to be the most disciplined and most honorable and eligible student. What happens in the morning? In the morning, there is a bell which rings at 4 o'clock. He puts it off. So jata hai. He wakes up at 7 o'clock. Arey, 7 o'clock. I have to brush my teeth and all that. So he goes to morning chores and goes to the class. Then after the class is over, he comes back, looks at the television. Sachin Tendulkar is playing and his score is 89. Oh, he's nearing the century. You know, he's doing so much of efforts in reaching the century. It is my duty to watch him, you know. So you keep watching the television. Your mummy starts shouting, "Arey Baba, class jana hai, college jana hai, kuch kha le." So you are eating in front of the television and you go back to college. Suddenly you realize, ये इंग्लिश का लेक्चर मैंने जिंदगी में नहीं अटेंड किया, वो मेरे को आता ही नहीं है. डायरेक्ट वॉइस, पैसिव वॉइस क्या होता है मालूम नहीं है. डायरेक्ट स्पीच क्या होता है, एक्टिव A passive voice क्या होता है मालूम नहीं. He mentally notes that, yes, I must learn English also. And then after some time, there is another lecture. The lecturer has not turned up in college. So lecturer has not turned up. So all the students go to the canteen, and that canteen is St. Xavier's College canteen. And this canteen has got a very bad geographical location, because on the both sides, on almost in all possible directions, there are 4 to 5 movie theaters. So there is a gravitational attraction. So people start talking about what kind of movies going on. So somebody comes out with a proposal, why not see that movie? And then everybody agrees and they watch movies, and after getting tired and watching the movie, they somehow complete the practical, come back home and he shouts at his mummy, "Mummy, I'm tired, I'll go to sleep." Mummy thinks, oh, time management has helped him. He has done a lot of work. But no, he gets up at 10 o'clock, wakes up at 10 o'clock, has his dinner, and suddenly he finds one piece of paper where he had written all time management. He gets so angry with himself that he tears that paper into small possible, pieces. And he's very angry. My question to all the students or everybody who's listening this, why is he angry? Why is he angry? He's angry because he had certain map of going ahead. He had created a vector. In the morning he'll be here, and in the evening, by the end of the day, there will be so much of progress. That is what he had decided. But what happens is exactly opposite. When he compares what needs to happen and what actually happened, this comparison, the deviation between the two things, creates that anger. But let me ask you one thing. This anger would not have been created if he had not planned the day at all. And that is what everybody does. Nobody plans a day at all. So they keep on doing something, and it happens, and they don't get angry because they do not have any direction only with respect to which they can evaluate their actions. So, if you have a goal in your mind, then all actions that you perform throughout the day can be evaluated, because that goal is a measuring stick for you. So that gives you a meaning of every activity, whether it was meaningful, conducive, catalyst, acting as a catalyst towards your goal or against it. So therefore, setting a goal, and I'm not saying that the moment you set a goal, you will start observing it, but you will get angry at least. But you will say, suppose you make a goal, you make a time management, and you observe, say, 50% of it or 10% of it. 10% is a great progress. So you will start improving. There's a book called Atomic Habits. You cannot change your habits in one day. Atomic Habits, if you read that book, you will realize that small contribution every day will create miracles. You cannot create miracles overnight. Small contribution. Make a time management sheet. Make a timetable for yourself. Observe it. If you cannot do it, don't get nervous. It is natural. Out of several things that you have promised yourself to do, at least do 1% of it. Next day, 2%. Next day, 3%. And you will find a miraculous change in your attitude and your time management principles. And that kind of technique is available, and it can be learned, and that kind of self-discipline can be acquired, provided you are a vector and not a scalar. So let me tell you one thing, that in order to manage our daily activity, you have to create a long-term goal, a short-term goal, and everyday goal. Long-term goal for a student could be what? I want to become an industrialist. I want to start my own computer industry. That is a long-term goal. But you must specify when exactly you are going to do it. Immediately after your post-graduation, within 5 years, I will set up my company. So you have created a particular milestone in your life, that at the age of 25, I will be owning a computer company, multinational computer company. Then you start backwards. What should happen 5 years before that? 5 years before that, I must be having the greatest degree in computer science. The greatest degree is PhD in computer science. Fine. Where will you get it? I will get it in the best of the universities in the world. So you set a goal that I will go to Harvard University or MIT or something like that, or at least IIT in India, where I'll get my PhD degree. And then, in order to get into IIT, a PhD degree in IIT, what I need to do? I should appear for IIT JEE advanced examination at the end of 12th standard. Now, you are coming closer and closer and closer to the present. So, in order to get admission into IIT, what I need to do? I need to study physics, chemistry, and mathematics. How many days I have? I have some 720 days. Fine. So, in order to get into IIT, how many problems I need to solve? So, you'll arrive at certain number. Divide that number by 720, and if you solve those number of problems every day, your goal of creating the computer industry is already achieved. Because when you walk, if you want to walk 100 miles, that in 2 hours, then every hour or every minute requires a certain fraction of walking. And if you are doing that fraction, you don't have to bother about reaching the goal because you already made it. Because every small step that you take is taking you towards the goal. And these small steps have to be calibrated. And it requires backward planning. Backward planning will give you exactly what you need to do today. And in the evening when you go to sleep, you have to evaluate whether I have taken that particular step or not. That will make you a vector. Otherwise, you'll remain a scalar. I'll give you one simple example and I'll stop my lecture today of a vector. A person from whom I got the concept of being vector. I had a friend. I was studying in University of Bombay and I was staying in a University Hostel, Churchgate. There was a fellow who was doing PhD in pharmaceutical science. So one day he came to me and he asked me, Prakash, I'm fighting the Senate election and please vote for me. I was shocked because during our time, this electioneering and all this done by political parties, and most of them were done by the gundas and the people who were quite unscrupulous. No good student will ever participate in elections. But he said, whatever I do with some intention. I don't do anything without any intention, without any reason. So I sarcastically asked him, Acha, tera intention kya hai? So he says, I want to become a general manager of a pharmaceutical multinational organization. I was surprised. He was so clear about exactly what he needs to happen in his life. So I asked him, when did you know that this is your goal? Another surprise, another shock. He said, when I was 7-year-old. I said, what? A 7-year-old child does not even understand the meaning of these words. He said, exactly. The moment I heard this, I did not understand anything, but I knew this is my goal. I asked him, how come? He said, one day my father told me when I was 7-year-old that there is one guest coming in the evening for dinner, Mr. Banerjee, and we will have a dinner with them. He says, okay. As a child, I was enthusiastic, very, very curious about who is going to come. So I used to go to the windows again and again, find out who is going to come. So at 7 o'clock, when I was standing in the window, I saw one white, brand new Mercedes car in front of my door. And one chauffeur, uniform chauffeur, came out and he opened the door for another man, rear door, and the man stepped out. Very handsome man, very well dressed, very impressive. I was impressed. I was very curious. Who is this man? I would like to become like that. So I asked my father, Daddy, who is this guy? He is Mr. Banerjee. What is he doing? He is a general manager of Sibagaigi. What is Sibagaigi? Sibagaigi is a multinational pharmaceutical company. At that time, I did not know what these words mean, but I had realized that this is what I want to become. So these words were implanted on the back of my mind. I want to become a general manager of an international, multinational pharmaceutical organization. Then, when I was in the school, during those days, these were 60s time, and there was a lot of Naxalite violence going on in Bengal. He was a Bengali. And because of that violence, the entire university, all academic activities had come to a standstill. No one was taking part in the academic activities because schools were closed, colleges were closed, everything was closed. And students were enjoying. Of course, this is a 9-year-old. But he went to his father and asked him, Daddy, I cannot afford to waste 3 years of my life doing nothing. Already 1 year is gone. You have to make some arrangements to continue my education. Father started laughing. What can I do? Everything is closed. Schools are closed. Colleges are closed. I can't help you. He said, they are closed only in Bengal. But outside Bengal, everything is working. So you send me to Delhi. I don't have money. He says, that is none of my problem. My education is your problem. So you will have to make arrangement. Father बेचारा क्या करेगा? उसका enthusiasm देख के उसने he managed certain amount of money and sent him to St. Xavier's school in Delhi. After completing his matriculation, he told his father, enough of this. Delhi is a political capital. I'm not interested in staying in political capital. My destiny lies in financial capital of India, and that is nothing but Bombay, Mumbai. So he came to Mumbai, took admission in one of the colleges, got fantastic marks in the inter-science level. He could have easily joined any medical branch, but he refused. He took to a lowly course called B.Pharm, Bachelor of Pharmacy. Now that was quite shocking because the kind of marks that he had, when he had the chance of getting into medicine, he chose to become what? A pharmacist. He became pharmacist, he completed his B.Pharm and he completed his M.Pharm. M.Pharm also not by examination but by research. Why research? See, you can do M.Pharm either by research or by doing examination. If you do examination, you get grades like first class, second class and all that. And that grade counts in your resume. He said, I was not interested in getting any kind of grade. I wanted to do research because that research will be converted into PhD degree ultimately, because I want to do ultimately a doctorate in. And that is how I met him. Now I asked him, still I am not clear why you are fighting elections to the Senate. That was the starting point of our discussion. He says, see one thing, even if I do my PhD, and even if I get a doctorate, if I approach any pharmaceutical company and tell them that I want a job from you, will they do it? Not likely. What will fetch me a good job in a good company is a fantastic resume. And this particular ऐसा resume होना चाहिए कि जिसमें ऐसे 2 लोग साइन करेंगे कि जिनका नाम देख के the company will be awestruck. And I plan to do that. There are 2 people who are going to sign on my resume as my recommendation. One of them is going to be the dean of the Hopkins Institute where I'm doing my research. And the second one will be nothing but Vice Chancellor of Bombay University. I said, how can you get a recommendation from Bombay University Vice Chancellor? That is exactly why I'm fighting election. After winning the election, I will be in the Senate. I will be in the debating with all the members along with the Vice Chancellor. I will get on a personal terms with Vice Chancellor. And the moment I get that chance, I know I will impress him. That is the OM. And that is how he got elected in Senate. Thereafter, his career took a different turn. My career took a different turn. I became a professor. He went on. Those days, there was no Google, nothing. So I lost his trace at all. Suddenly, when the Google came into existence, I was curious. I just wanted to find out where this guy is. So I started writing his name on Google and trying to find out. Fortunately, there was one social media platform where he was enrolled. He had enrolled himself. So he contacted me. I got his phone number and all that. So he said, I am right now in Singapore and I am now general manager of Merck International, and there are all the countries from Afghanistan to Japan are under my wing, and I am handling all of them. And when I went to meet him at Singapore, he came to fetch me in his own Mercedes car. That is called Vector. All the activities right from the age of 7 till that particular day, were arranged, focused on only one objective, and he obviously achieved that kind of objective. Remember one thing, your goal has to be well defined. The more defined it is, the better defined it is, the clearer it is, better chances of reaching that goal without any hindrance. And every activity that you do should be evaluated in terms of reaching the goal, whether it is positive or negative, whatever. But you have to evaluate it and then take a corrective action. Okay. In the next lecture, we are going to talk more about certain psychological instruments for helping us in reaching the goal. Thank you very much.